And here we are back again. Hopefully my stream is smooth. And what did I miss while I was gone for a bit there? Let's zoom into the 1 minute bars and see it's still incredibly choppy. 5 minute bars. So we had this little bit of a bounce and things have slid off even more. And we can see along the side here that there are now $2 million to the long, still $1 million going short. There's still a crazy amount of trading going on now. And so from this big candle to the upside, from 6,300 blasting all the way to 7,700, now we have a massive candle to the other side. 1, 2, 3 bottom on the minute. No, it's still made a new bottom here, so it's a little bit too, even in the minutes here, it's not enough to call it a 1, 2, 3 bottom. But as we just saw, as we were looking at natural gas prices, so it had a huge gap move in it and then continued on, and the momentum is on this direction now. And so it's not going to be I don't think it's going to be a dip down and then a recovery all the way back up. We can see that when this started failing, then it makes a consolidation, then it fails and consolidates and fails and consolidates. So if we zoom back into this kind of failure pattern, then what I would be wanting to look for is the consolidation and then the break of that consolidation as a place to potentially take on a short position. Another thing to look for is to add on an indicator, the RSI. And so we're looking for places to take a trade. If the RSI is showing weakness, and all the way along here, it didn't really show a divergence that would have given inside information, but there certainly was a divergence here. So prices came up and made new highs, but the RSI didn't along those periods there. And I bet you if we show the volume, there's greater volume here than there is here on the second high. And there are indicators that the top was there. Clear this off, drag this chart over to where we are now, and where there are indicators saying that we are fading off. And it really doesn't look like there were strong indicators or a divergence in the RSI anyway. Everything seems to be matching. We have lows, we have higher lows, we have higher lows again. We have a high and we have higher highs. That's all looks pretty good and normal all the way along through here at this time frame. So we got a few people joining in. I appreciate you guys being here. As I was getting set up, I see there's another crypto guy also streaming live right now, covering these details. And it's profoundly important for millions of people who are invested into Bitcoin, and most all of us are on the long side. Especially important for those people who are following other crypto markets. Look at this. So Ripple is rejecting these lows now. It's bounced off it and really come back up. So if you were to have dumped your Ripple position just that because it's going down there, this would be a real pain in the ass. So it's come down, but it's bounced right back up. Let's go see what Lumens has done. It also gave a dip and has bounced back up, but not as much. MadeSafe coin made a dip and it's bouncing back up. How about Factum? It made a run up yesterday and then it's dipped down a bit here today. Ethereum, what are you doing? Look at that. It's really bouncing back up, so it's really rejecting these lows. And all the way along, as Bitcoin was making that massive descending wedge triangle, we were looking at all of the cryptocurrencies and seeing that they were not threatening new lows. And so over the period of time that Bitcoin was hitting lows, and all of the alts were hitting lows in August and in September and in October. Many of the alts were showing that they were not going as low each time Bitcoin went down. So if I bring Bitcoin in here, Bitcoin was making lows, but the alts were not making similar lows. They were holding a little bit higher each time. Now there's been a cut down, but still Bitcoin has dropped below these past lows and Ethereum has not. So it's showing more strength than Bitcoin. Litecoin, on the other hand, has broken down to new lows. And if we zoom into the 1 day, it has bounced right back up where Bitcoin has not. Bitcoin has stayed down. Doge was taking a dive and it's still not doing anything that we can see. Decreed was staying pretty flat there. It just sort of ignored the whole panic and it's just staying there. Civic Coin had made a dive, but it's not bouncing back up. BitShares had made a dive and it's bouncing a little bit. One thing we have on our Discord chat is a bot that Dest Investments showed me about. And so we have this crypto data bot where we can put in !news BTC and it'll pull up news. Gotta spell it right. And it will pull up, is it Craig Wright, saying that he's going to be, he's got more than 60% of the hashing power and he's going to Bitcoin price charting death cross for the first time. Yes, I saw that article and we were talking about that earlier. And I closed that chart. And the death cross was, download a chart here with the 200 and 500 period moving average. This is the death cross. If these moving averages cross over, this is a knoll of death for the market. And generally, in any market, the 200 period and the 50 period moving average are really key indicators of momentum in the market overall. And it still hasn't crossed over yet, so we're still not in as much hot water as possible, or it maybe is coming. Even though when we zoom into the 1 month view and we're looking at the 4-hour bars, this has really taken a massive done. 1 hour bars, so it started to crack down earlier this morning, and everybody, including myself, was hoping that it's just going to bounce off these levels it's bounced off before. It came down and pressed on them, and then when it broke those, it really went down. And I was watching closely the difference between BitMEX and Bitfinex, and I had posted this. Go to the 1 hour. I had posted this divergence earlier. It's hard to pull it up so that it shows here now. Go to the 3-day view and pull it back. No, it's not showing as I have been seeing it, where it looked like Bitfinex was holding higher strength than BitMEX. BitMEX would come to lows and Bitfinex was not coming to the same lows, but in this chart now it looks like they match pretty well. So if there is any specific market you want me to take a look at to compare how it's doing against Bitcoin, put it in the chat there and I'll bring that up. I got myself all dressed up with layers. I put on a shirt and then a long shirt and then a sweater because I was just about to head out and go out and get some groceries and do some walking around outside. It's chilly out. Everyone in the top 100 is taking a mean dump. Was this just a flash crash? Hey, Maynard, I don't think so. I don't think this is a flash crash. I think this is the beginning of momentum to the downside. And I was sharing a I shared in our Discord chat, and there is a link to our Discord chat down below if you want to join us and talk about cryptos all the time, 24/7. I was looking at the cover of this book, and this is not the price chart of Bitcoin, but a different cryptocurrency. I'm not even sure which one it is, but you can see this massive descending wedge triangle, much like we had in Bitcoin. And then there's the crack, and then we're going to see prices coming down. This is where people are getting depressed. Then this is when people capitulate. This is where they just give up completely and they sell out, because if you had bought in at $15,000 or $20,000 and it's down to $2,000, it is as demoralizing as all of these altcoins have been. Where we take something like Factum, zoom out to the 1-year view, and if you had been buying into this at this top when it was at 0.012 and now it's at 0007, that is so much of a loss. It's crazy. Trying to find the calculator I normally use. So if we put it in for 0.1237372 and it cost us 0.013, that's a 94% loss. 94% loss. And if you were to purchase Bitcoin at 18,004 and now you're at 59.32, that is 67% loss. That is hard to take. And if it comes down to the $4,000 level, now you're down to 78% loss. And if it does come back down to the $2,500 level, which is not an impossibility, then you're down 86%. And someone is asking, can I sell all the alts and Bitcoin now? I really can't make the decision for you, because no one can tell the future. But if this book cover is what is coming up, then it would be a good idea not only to sell, but to be looking for when to go short. And it may be a good idea not to think about selling, but to keep your coin and put it into a place where you can hedge against the losses, which is to go short. And I wouldn't recommend going short now after this big, huge move. Instead, I would recommend the same thing as I do when you're adding on to a profitable trade, as you wait for the market to come back and consolidate a little bit. So then you would wait for it to bounce and make a 1, 2, 3 formation. When it cracks below that again, this is a time to take an additional sell order, because then the trend is continuing. We have the downtrend. The downtrend was never finished. It never ended. We never did get that turnaround in this to say that the uptrend had started. We did not get the break of the trend line, the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, and the moving averages crossing over. We never got it. We never had a trading signal in this as we were watching it all the way from September until now, day by day by day. Any opinion on Smartlands? There should be a link to the Discord channel below the video in the description. yeah, expanded Discord channel. I will post it. And another important thing that we'll be updating at 5 o'clock today is the price prediction spreadsheet, which goes through all of the cryptos on Poloniex and comes up with an average of what they're all doing. And the reason we're doing this is it was called the bull market watch, trying to see when does the bull market actually really start. And it was a result of a great deal of study. Some of the markets, as we know, we can take, for example, Ardor, just as an example. Made a bottom formation, started to show some strength, even a couple waves of strength here, and then it started to fade off, and now it's taken a plumbing with the same time as Bitcoin going down, but it's barely coming back to where the lowest prices it was back in September. So Bitcoin is breaking down past its lows, but some of the altcoins are holding and they're not breaking past those old lows. BitShares is an exception, or maybe it's not an exception. We'll find out at 5 o'clock when we go through all of them and we see how many of them that have turned into a dead, not just a cold fish, but something dead. And now we have to watch all over again for the bottom formations. And I want to remind everybody what happened out of the bottom formations that we were watching last December. Let me pull this back. So last year at this time, everything was making nice bottoms in November and starting to come up, and this was looking really bullish. And then everything from the end of November till the middle of, for 2 weeks, they went down and down and down. But for completely different reasons. We can see here that Bitcoin was on its parabolic move up and it was pressing all of the alts down. Finally, some of that pressure came off and the alts really blasted up. But if we go back, where are we? 1 year view of Decreed and pull it back to what happened in November, December. And we can see that it was making this great looking bottom formation. Prices were breaking up above these levels, probably was breaking above our 12-hour bar moving averages at the same time. Likely gave a buy signal here. And then it was a fake out breakout. Down it went and it made new lows, but those new lows didn't last for long. Everything started taking off after it made those new lows. And so if things are breaking down to new lows, then our job becomes to start watching for the 1, 2, 3 bottoms again and take action on those again. So hopefully the risk control rules got you to take your losses and get out of your positions and you're not holding the bag. But there is argument to keep holding it if you are, and just grit your teeth, because there is global interest in the cryptocurrencies. The thing is, we are seeing a completely different market setup here, with Bitcoin last year was flying and the market cap of all of the coins was going up. Even though their price versus Bitcoin was going down, their market cap was still going up. And now this time we've got market caps fading off. So let's go to Burst and see what it did. So here's another one that was making this bottom formation. It didn't crack down to new lows and then go higher. What's another chart I should be taking a look at? Ethereum. Bitcoin low, more down, or Bitcoin going up? I think Bitcoin is going to be going down for a couple of weeks now. And again, I'll bring down this I'll bring down this screenshot from the Altcoin Trader's Handbook by Nick Patel. This is not Bitcoin prices, but look at this descending wedge triangle, what happens after that. This is human psychology after the massive move that we've seen in Bitcoin. Now that it's breaking down here, There's going to be a whole bunch of people who are selling just because they're panicking. There's going to be a whole bunch of people going short because they can and they know the momentum is in their favor. And then we are going to see the capitulation low where complete desperation sets in, and it's after that that the prices will take off. And so this will probably take until at least the middle of the third week in December, at least. It's one of the reasons that when I'm looking for these bottom formations in the alts, that I'm looking to take a position that's going to last for months. Here's a good example of what happened last year in Ethereum. So it came down at the beginning of November, made a bottom, showed some strength, and it came back. This is the number 3 point of the 1, 2, 3. And then it broke up above here, and it was looking so good. Along with Bitcoin going up, it seemed like, oh, finally the alts are following along and going to be going somewhere. And then just as steady as could be, bam, 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 all the way down. And then what did it do? It made a new, look at that, $10 million liquidated. Another $10 million liquidated. So then here, we got to watch now, watch for the next 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, and you've got to be ready to take action. When that moving average crosses over out of this one, the next 1, 2, 3 bottom, that's going to be our time to try again. And it's one of the reasons that we use rule number 1 and rule number 2. Rule number 2 states that you must add on to a position correctly no matter what. But to add on to a position, you need to keep some of your money. You can't put all of your money on the trade at the beginning. So rule number 2 keeps our positions small at the start, like this. We would put on a little bit of our position. And if it doesn't prove us correct, then we use rule number 1, the risk control rule. If it doesn't prove us correct immediately, then we take that position off. We take our loss. Take our loss. Wherever, you got to take your loss, because the odds are worse for you if you don't take your small losses. They're going to be bigger. Then maybe you become a bag holder. You're down so much that you can't bear to sell out. Then you've got nothing left out of it. And you hold for that unforeseen future where maybe it's going to be going back up. Maybe it will. Maybe. But that's an unknown future. So let's go back to Bitfinex and zoom in on this, see what's going on. Let me clear off my drawing. And I've got to go into the 1 hour bar, zoom into the 1 day. So we're looking at the 5-minute bars. And the crash is seeming to be losing some momentum here. It's crashing more slowly. Zoom into the 1 minute bars. And now we're getting a potential 1, 2, 3 bottom formation here. So if you're trading against the trend and you're always looking for the prices to go up as buy low, sell high, then this 1, 2, 3 bottom is for you. And let's see what the RSI is telling us. So we're looking for a divergence in this RSI so that it is doing something different than the prices. Actually, let me clear this off. I think a more accurate one would be to do this, where we can see there is a divergence in this. So we got the super oversold condition. Prices have come up, they've gone even lower, but it's not as oversold. So this kind of divergence may indicate that the prices are going to bounce back up a little bit. And if we were in an uptrend, like we were with the basic attention token, it's come back huge. The same thing applies here, where we are looking for the divergence in the divergence in the price and the RSI. So here we have the prices making higher highs, but the RSI is barely making new highs. So another $10 million long liquidated here. So where did this $10 million long get itself put on in order to get liquidated now? This is the question of the moment. Where did he buy that is getting liquidated now? On this little bump? So he figures that it's just going to be a quick skewer down and blast right straight back up, and he's gambling. He's put his money on here, and now as it comes down to these levels, he's getting liquidated. Or maybe it wasn't a 100-to-1 leverage position. Maybe it was a 20-to-1 leverage position, and he put it on up here, and it finally hit to the liquidation point. But in either case, he's not using rule number 1. He is not assuming he's wrong and taking off his position unless it proves him correct. Because if you hold it to liquidation, you are holding it down 60 or 70% losses. You're down holding an incredible loss by the time it finally gets liquidated. And I know on BitMEX, they try to phase in your liquidation. So they don't completely liquidate your whole position. They try to liquidate parts of it and ease you out of that trade. So what should we look at now? Which charts should we take a look at? Is there any markets that are top market cap? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple. We saw Ripple did a bounce. So Ripple really bounced. It's completely rejected that. I like to see what Ripple's doing here. What do you mean that they ease you out of a trade? So here's the details on BitMEX liquidation processes. So they use lowest risk. They employ partial liquidation process involving automatic reduction of the maintenance margin to avoid full liquidation. And so when we're seeing this $10 million liquidated, he's already gone through partial liquidation, and then it's just too much. They have to do a full liquidation on them. So the liquidation system attempts to bring down the user's risk limit and thus lower the margins to bring a user down to a risk limit associated with their open orders, canceling any open orders so they can't get any worse into it, submitting fill or kill order for the difference between the current risk and the position size to avoid liquidation. So there's a few things that they go through here in order to protect you from liquidation. Litecoin, let's see what Litecoin did not bounce up like this for sure. I got to refresh this page. Litecoin, it really took a hammering. It didn't bleed as hard though. If we go into the 5-minute bar, what? 5-minute bar, look at that. It is bouncing back up. And Bitcoin is not. How about Ethereum? It'd be great if most of the market, Ethereum's bouncing back up. Be great if most of the market did this. This is probably why some of these guys put on these $10 million to the long side. If they see Ethereum and Litecoin going up like this, and Ripple, which are the other top market cap coins. Stellar, is that one doing a nice bounce up too? Yes, even better. Wow, trading is hard. And there's no 1, 2, 3 bottom on that. It just went. In hindsight, it's easy to see that there was a divergence in this RSI. The RSI went to super oversold and then kind of oversold, and bam, off it went. How far will it go? It's got a ways to go before it's making any new highs and change and keeping on the direction that it was going. But look at how these highs are high, these lows are higher all the way along, and Bitcoin is now at the lower highs. It's losing market share to these guys, hand over fist right now. Cardano is also recovering. So let's zoom in again to the one-day view of Ripple. Nice bounce there. Let's go over and take a look at Cardano. I should star this market. It's not. It's making a nice bounce up, but not coming back up to where it's significant yet. That's just like a reflex bounce almost. But when you go to the 1 month view and you're looking at the 4-hour bars, it's almost not noticeable. Looking at the 12-hour bars, it's almost also not noticeable really. But check out these prices. Look at this compared to Bitcoin. Bitcoin has gone down this way. Cardano has held its own in comparison. So this is good to see, and hopefully it is a trend that many of the alts will go through. And at 5 o'clock today, in 4 hours from now, I'll do another live stream. 5 o'clock every day, I'm trying to do the live stream, and we'll go over the simple trading, been calling it the bull market watch, and I shared the link to the spreadsheet there. Let me head over to it. Drag it down in here. Whoops. So this has been a study of looking for the bottom formation. So it's a biased study, looking for the bottom formation. It's not looking to see which way is the market going to go. It's assuming that it's at these historical lows, that it's going to make a 1, 2, 3 bottom. We're just looking to see when it's going to take off. So that bias has definitely been kicking our ass now. So we can see all the way through here. Green means it's buy signal. Blue means it's turned into a cold fish and get out. And I bet you today when we go through all these markets, we're going to be seeing a lot of blue cold fish here. And then I'll be doing the calculations to see what's the profit loss, the estimated profit and loss, because these are just hypothetical positions. And we'll go through and see what would have happened to your account if you had gotten out on the 4-hour bar moving average crossover or the 12-hour bar moving average crossover. And I'm probably going to get my ass kicked on Decreed, Golem Network Token, Navcoin, and Quantum, because I was overriding the moving average crossover. I was saying, you know, it's not down far enough, I'll just keep it. And then, bam. So here is one that, okay, the moving average just crossed over. Maybe it was yesterday that it was crossing over, and down it went. So paying attention to those exit signals really makes a difference. Now, if we zoom into the 1 month view, so we're looking to the 4-hour bar moving average crossover, it gets us out in a nice clean area out of this 1, 2, 3 top formation there, and the break of this trend line. So it's a very clean exit signal. I guess the trend line would be more accurate to draw this way. And again, the moving average it's a great exit signal. But if you're wanting to take more risk and give up some of your profits for the possibility of being in the market and stay in the market for the long term, it's just a matter of mathematics and timing. So then, now that we're coming to these newer lows, we'll watch these again. Ooh, pardon me, sneeze attack. What else was there? Golem Network Token, NAV, and Quantum. So I think let's go and take a look at NAV. NAV also made a major dive, and if I go back to the 3-month view, there is our moving average crossover. I'll have to check and see if I think yesterday I overrode it and I said, it hasn't come down far enough yet, I won't get out yet. But this is why you make trading rules, so that you follow them and then deal with them, whatever, right or wrong afterwards. But this has proven itself out so many times that for me to override it is a good lesson. And it's a good thing that I'm doing this with technical analysis, and many of these trades are not ones that I'm holding, although Quantum is one I'm holding. There's the moving average crossover, and I said, well, you know, it's still not down below these levels. It's still holding support above the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. I want to give it time. I want to give it space. Bah. So it would have been good to jump out there. Then we could just reposition. We could redecide what's going on now. And look at this. This could become an internal 1, 2, 3 bottom formation in time. Just looking at this, it's bounced up a little bit as well. So this would be the new number 1 point, and we would start rewatching the whole thing. So we've got a number 1 here, and then this would be the number 2 in the larger scale, and this would become our number 3 here, right where that is making a support and resistance there. And also, again, pretty cool to notice that this coin, like many others, did not break down as significantly as Bitcoin. Will it? Well, it certainly would be good to have taken that trade off at that time and then stand back and wait for those bottom formations to shape up before taking any other action. But it's because there's no way to know. Maynor, I'll see you at 5 o'clock. Awesome. Ashish, good to see you here. I think this is the first time I've seen you comment. And Britain, good to see you here as well for requesting to take a look at Litecoin. Quantum, Navcoin, Golem Network Token, and the other one that I've been overriding for a bit is Decreed. Let's go and take a look at Decreed. It hasn't failed off that badly. In fact, it's sort of kind of ignoring the whole mess. It didn't drop significantly at all. It's holding its own quite well. But it did cross the moving average there on the 4-hour bar, and even on the 12-hour bar. After this big surge up, it came back and crossed those moving averages. And so we'll see over time what that ends up doing. But I've been overriding the exit signal, saying that it's staying above these support and resistance levels. I want to hold on to it, especially if we had gotten in at a good entry here. I think it was this entry that we got in on, and it was this moving average coming close together that I overrode and said, no, I'm not getting out yet. And then it blasted up, but we didn't take any profits on this. We were waiting for a much longer move in these trends, and the reason is the length of this down this bottom formation. It was my opinion that all of these alts had made a bottom formation for so long and were showing higher lows all the way along here in all of the alts, that I thought that this would mean that Bitcoin would hold these levels and go on an uptrend as well. I thought this to me was showing that the world is putting money into altcoins all over the place, and that Bitcoin wouldn't crack. And I was wrong. Major crackdown here. Let me clean up my drawings on it. And I'm looking at the Heiken Ashi candles. So if we're looking at these candles, you can see that it shows a big wick in the candle. If I switch this over and I go to, okay, wrong one. Switch this over and go to normal candles, you can see how much more of a red bar there is here. Zooming in on the red candles, the normal candles, there is still a big gap move here. And this shows a different pattern than when we see in Heiken Ashi. And I use the Heiken Ashi because they are more focused on longer term trend. They smooth out the short term price actions. And why is it going down? There's never any way to know why it's going down when big moves happen. Sometimes it's because of news, but most times it's because of human nature and the compilation of all the people watching it. So then to be able to capture that, we look for price indicators that would give us an insight that something is going to happen. So for my own part, I was looking for the bottom formation. So I was always looking at this pattern as the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. And I wasn't looking at it as the 1, 2, 3, I'm going to dump on you formation. And it is both. It could be either. It was so close that there was no knowing which way it was going to go. But as soon as it starts to crack below that, then we get the crowd behavior going onto it as well. So it's the line of least resistance, and off it went. And for my own part, I was looking at all of the indicators in our spreadsheet, trying to see when the market was going to be a bull market. And so we can see here that the number of the green line here is the number of positive and alert markets that there were on Poloniex. And it was coming down here while the reds were coming up. I know that when we finish this off again this evening and we go through this whole thing again and update this spreadsheet, it's going to show a lot more red, a lot less green, and probably a lot of the neutrals are going to be knocked out as well. There's going to be a lot of near fails, there's going to be a lot of fails, there's not going to be any alerts, and a lot of the greens are going to turn into cold fish. So when we're counting these up, we add up all the cold fish, the ones that have gone cold, the ones that are near fails, and the ones that are fails, and we add those all together. Then we have the neutrals, and then we add together the alerts, the greens, and the add to the position as our positives for that chart. So that's how we come up with the green line for those three groupings and the red line for the negative three groupings, and then the blue line is for the neutral ones that are in between the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. They're not pressing on the bottom, they're not looking like they're going to burst out of the top, they're just sort of hanging along, going sideways. Crazy. Any other markets I should be taking a look at? Well, I'm going to sign off the stream for now. This has been an update on what's been going on. We reviewed a whole bunch of charts, and I will be back on in about 4 hours at 5 o'clock Central Time, and we'll systematically go through every one of these markets, and we'll fill out this sheet again to say, are they neutral, negative, near fail, fails, and we'll update our bull market watch spreadsheet. And then I'm going to do it again the next day, and the next day, and the next day. So we'll see as things fail down, we'll monitor it all, and we will be there to watch for when the next 1, 2, 3 bottom formations are shaping up. So I'll see you guys all in 4 hours. I appreciate you being here. Thank you very much again. And David, I'll send you the copy of the book with the page numbers in it. I've got that completed, and I'm going to upload it to IntroToCryptos.ca so that everybody who's bought the book will be able to download that new copy with the page numbers in it. And I appreciate that. And that's it for now. I'll see you guys later. Bye for now.